What's up, everyone? I have not done one of these in a while, but over the summer I realized that you can actually get the standings data with nflfastR. Um, I didn't know that before, so what I did was I looked it up on Google and I created a bunch of Excel sheets, which I then would build into R, and then I would make that into a data set to plot like team wins and stuff. So I figured I'd show you guys how I was able to do that. Um, the first two steps are to download the two libraries we need, which are tidyverse and nflfastR. I was told this recently, but it's cool if you want to use strings to download your libraries in case you wanted to, call something like a dataset tidyverse stuff, and you could do that on but if it was not within quotes, it wouldn't work. So yeah, the first step obviously is to load the data, which we're going to use NFL readr, and load schedules. Then the next step I used is I wanted to look at the structure of games to see what variables there are and what there is to look at. And as you can see, there's a bunch of stuff: game ID, season, game type, week, game day, home team, away score, and home score, which is really important and honestly crucial for getting the data. Yeah, so the next step is to get home standings data. I already have them loaded in, as you can see, but the next step would be to get home standings data and away standings data to get data for teams over the course of the season. I'll just call this home. I won't, label it. I chose 2021, so maybe we can look at a different year, homes, and then we're gonna use the games, and we're gonna filter, season equal to, also it's very important, you need the double equal sign here, to 2020, let's say. We also want to filter the game type equal to a regular season, so with that we can just do reg. We don't want the postseason data because we just want the regular season data. If you wanted the postseason data, you wouldn't even need this filter, or you could just, filter it to post, but that's not what we want. And this is not that important, but you can rename the home team into team. This will help a lot later, sorry, when you're working with the away team, which is the next step. I could also download this first. And yeah, I messed that up. Boom. And now we have home with all of this data that's about to show up. Yeah, you see this. Boom. Home score, away score. Boom. You see all of that. In addition to like betting lines, which is pretty cool, but I've not really looked at that yet, so yeah. Anyway, we can also get the away data by loading in away. We're also going to filter the season equal to 2020, or else why would we get data for two separate years with different home and away types? We also want to filter the game type equal to regular season. We also want to rename the away team. Oops, I did that wrong again. We also want to rename the away team equal to team rather than away team, so that we can combine home and away team. And something also important is we want to mutate the result equal to the negative result, because if I can pull it up, if you can look here at the scores, it'll say away score, home score, and the result is here. So these are two different games. With the away score here, it's going to say -13, but the Seahawks won. So it wouldn't really make sense when we're coding it in, because it will read that as a negative, and we're going to want the positive numbers to indicate when it's a win. So when we have an away team with the negative result, we're going to want the positive result to go with it. So that's why we have separate data frames for away and home games, and we also have them both set up as teams. So you'll get the full representation of how the team played. Also, you won't have all of the games because no team plays all of their games at home. And as you can see, the Falcons and Seahawks played. If you just took the Seahawks game, it'll appear that they lost, right? But they won, which is why you take the negative result for them being the away team. And the result is just calculated by home score minus away score. And now the next step, or actually I have to load this first. Boom, and now we have home and away. Next step is to create a new data frame for standings. And we can use this bind rows function to get all of the data together from home and away. And we can use home, away, and we can also arrange by the week so that it's set up in order from week 1. And now we have standings, and as you can see, 512 observations, which is the 256 from away and the 256 from home. And now here's where some more of the deep coding comes in. I'm not too familiar with case when functions, but that's what's important for doing this. You're also going to use a mutate, which I do know how to use. You're also going to use this little caret. This is also important. I was talking to someone the other day. You won't keep the data if you don't have this in. So if I wanted to load in anything, and I just used standings and I piped a bunch of data, I could do a bunch of mutates, like the mean, of points scored if I grouped by the team. But it would just show up in the console, and you wouldn't actually have the data. You need this. This is essential for when you're trying to add stuff to your data frame. Anyway, what you're going to want to do is you're going to create a new column that's win, and the win is going to be used from a case when. So you win in a case when the result is greater than 0. As I was showing earlier, when the result is 0, you win, whereas when you were away, the same thing didn't really apply. And we're going to use this little symbol. It's to the left of the 1 key, and you're going to use shift and that. And that's going to be worth 1 win. If the result is less than 0, you lost. That's the next step, but that's not a win, so that's going to be worth 0. And then it's difficult because you can't really incorporate tie as its own column. I don't think. I tried it. It just said it wasn't applicable because it didn't really work well with the win and then the loss. And you also can't really, play for a tie when there's a 0 there. It just doesn't really work. So when the result is equal to 0, it's going to be, worth 0.5 of a win. Then the next step is to use another mutate for the losses. And we're also going to do the same thing. We're going to set loss equal to the case when the result is greater than 0 and is a 0 because they lost. You don't want to get a win for that. If the result is less than 0, that's when you're going to count it, so that's worth a loss. And the same thing with tie. A tie is basically the same as a loss and win, and that's going to be worth 0.5. And now we're going to get a bunch of new stuff here. Boom. Actually, we're not going to get new. Actually, yeah, we did. We got a few new variables because, mutate, and we will have the 2 new variables for wins and losses. Now the next step is to, create new special columns. These 48 variables might not be that important. As you can see, I only have 5 here for the 2021 standings data because you don't really need anything. Like, you don't need the referee, the money line. You don't need that kind of stuff with you when you're just trying to find the standings data. So here we can just use standings. Again, we're keeping this so we can, get the data we want to specify which stuff we want. We're going to group by team because, we're setting it up so we can find out the team wins and losses. And I'm sure you guys can figure out what to do now. We're going to use a summarize, which will only end up taking the team because we group by it. And we're going to summarize a specific set of data, and that's the only data that's going to end up in our new standings data frame. Wins, which is equal to the sum of wins, as we calculated here. In one game, like in that Seahawks-Falcons game earlier, the Seahawks will get a 1 in their win column, they'll get a 0 in the loss column, and the Falcons will get a 1 in their loss column, and a win and no wins in their win column. But once you use the sum, you're going to find the sum in each column after you group by team. So you're going to find the sum by the team. I don't know the exact standings data for this year, but maybe the Seahawks went, I think 11-5 maybe. I'm not sure. I'm just guessing. But anyway, that's what you're going to get, and that's what you're going to use for wins. And then you're going to also sum losses equal to the sum of a loss. Also, keep in mind, this is going to be wrong. So, because I titled it wrong. This is important. You might get, honestly, I would probably get mad at the computer if that happened, but it's because you just referenced the wrong thing. It's not going to understand what wins are. I'll continue doing this and I'll fix it after. It can recognize this in the column as wins, but there's no wins column in the data frame right now, so it's not going to understand that. I also want to create a little games played column, so I could possibly find out the win percentage, and that's the sum of wins and losses. That's going to work because these two were coded in before, so it's going to be able to read the wins and losses that I just made. And point differential, maybe you want to look at the overall results, and that's equal to the sum of results, or just results, sorry. And we're also going to ungroup. And we'll run this. Oh, object wins not found. It's confused. It doesn't understand. And now we have a new standings column. I wonder which team had the most wins. Chiefs. Yeah, the Chiefs are good. The Bills are also good. The Packers. Where were the Saints? I was one game off. But yeah, so that's how you get standings data. If you want, you can also use this kind of stuff to find the win percentage, I guess, if you wanted. You could also, I'll show you that quickly right now. Standings. If you want, you could just do mutate win percentage equal to wins divided by games played. And it's going to make 6 variables. And now you have a win percentage. So the Cardinals went 500. Jaguars had the worst win percentage. Chiefs again, best record, best win percentage. That's really it. When you get this data, you're probably going to want to play it or use it to plot data with team logos. So you're probably going to want to compare something with data you already got from nflfastR, which I'm sure you could get. You just load it and eventually you're just gonna have to use like a left join. Oops, I messed that up. Eventually you're just gonna have to use a left join, and you're gonna join, you know, standings by equals to the column, and I mean, it depends on what you're using, but you know, as you can see, you have this team variable, and I have this data set, you know, and you're gonna end up wanting to compare it to something. So like maybe you want to compare it to home team, so you'd have to set up the home team equal to the team in your join statement. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, that's it. That's how you get standings data with nflfastR. You don't need to look it up online and then take all the time looking for it in Excel. That's kind of a nuisance. So I was really happy when I figured out there was a way to get this. Yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed. Please share, like, comment, subscribe. You know, do whatever. I'd appreciate it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments or in person if you have any questions. I'm totally willing to like help you guys out if you want. Thanks.